Hey everyone, welcome to 10-Minute Med School, where we break down medical school topics in 10 minutes or less. In today's video, we're going to be talking about cells of the stomach. So to start here, we're actually just going to draw the stomach. Okay, so we're going to draw the esophagus coming down. The esophagus goes into the lesser curvature of the stomach, which curves around here and gives way to the duodenum. Up on the other half, we have what's called the fundus of the stomach, which gives way to the greater curvature and then also comes down here to join into the duodenum. Okay? One important denotation I want to add in here is a sphincter at the bottom of the stomach, and this is what's called the pyloric sphincter. So this is just where the stomach ends and the proximal portion of the duodenum begins. Okay, so I just want to make that denotation right there. The next part of the stomach I want to talk about is actually up in the top, and it's called the cardia. So this is kind of the first part of the stomach out of the esophagus. So this is what's called the cardia. The next part is this very superior part up here at the top, okay? This is the fundus of the stomach. So this is the most superior portion of the stomach. This big portion in the middle here, so the largest portion of the stomach is actually what's called the body. So this is the body of the stomach. And then this last portion here before we get to the pyloric sphincter is what's called the antrum of the stomach, okay? It's important to denote these different areas because different cell types like to live in these different areas, okay? So the first type of cell we're going to talk about are actually called ECL cells, and they're located in the fundus. So these are enterochromaffin-like or ECL cells, okay? The next population of cells we're going to talk about are called parietal cells. So these like to live in the body of the stomach. So these are parietal cells. So I'm just going to move over body here so that we have enough room. So parietal cells like to live in the body. The next thing that likes to live in the body are actually called chief cells. Okay, so we have chief cells that also like to live in the body of the stomach. In the antrum of the stomach, we have 3 cell populations. The first one we have are called D cells. So these are the ones in red. So these are D cells. We also have mucus-producing cells in the antrum. So these are going to be our mucus cells. Okay. The last cell population of the stomach are called G cells. Okay. These are super, super important cells, and they're called G cells. So what do these cells all secrete? Well, let's start with the G cells. So G cells release something called gastrin. Okay. Gastrin likes to be released into the circulation, okay, so into the blood. Gastrin really has one goal in its life, and it's to increase acid. So let's write that in. Gastrin likes to increase acid, and it does that in 2 different ways, okay? The first way that it does it is it actually comes around through the circulation, and it acts on parietal cells. So it tells the parietal cells, go ahead and release some more acid, okay? So that's the first way. The second way that gastrin increases acid production, and it's actually the predominant way that it does it, is through acting on the ECL cells, so the enterochromaffin-like cells. So to increase the acid, the enterochromaffin cells actually release something called histamine. So yes, we have histamine in our stomach. So the histamine that's released from the enterochromaffin-like cells actually goes and acts on the parietal cells themselves. So it tells the parietal cells, go ahead and release some more acid. So I've mentioned that the parietal cells release acid. This is in the form of HCl, or hydrochloric acid. But the parietal cells also release something else. Okay, so they release something called intrinsic factor. So let's write that out. So this is intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor is super important for the absorption of B12. Okay, so intrinsic factor gets together with B12, and then it goes down to the terminal ileum where it's absorbed, okay? So these next cells, the chief cells, they only release one thing, and that thing is pepsinogen. So the chief cells release pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is good for activating enzymes that are necessary for digestion. We've talked about the G cells. The mucus cells obviously release mucus that coats the stomach. The next big cells that we need to talk about are the D cells. These release something called somatostatin somatostatin. Somatostatin is the master regulator of the stomach, and its job is to basically shut everything off. So it's going to shut down acid production, shut down gastrin production, and just tell everyone to kind of chill out. Okay, that's how I think about it. So what stimulates all these cells to even start releasing all this stuff in the first place? Well, the main stimulator for all these cells is the vagus nerve. Okay, so let's draw that coming down. Okay, so this is the vagus nerve, the master parasympathetic nerve of the body. It's also called cranial nerve 10. Okay, so same thing. So the vagus nerve plays a very important role in digestion, right? Rest and digest. That's our parasympathetic system. So the first thing that the vagus nerve is going to do is actually go to these D cells and tell them to stop. Okay, because remember, D cells tell the digestion to stop. The vagus nerve wants digestion. So it's going to come to these D cells and say, no more somatostatin. The next place it's going to go is actually to the G cells. Okay, so it's going to come down here and it's going to act on the G cells through the release of something called GRP. So let's write that in. This is GRP, gastrin releasing peptide. Okay, so this is a positive stimulus out of these G cells. So it's saying, let's ramp up the gastrin production. The vagus nerve also goes to chief cells. So it goes to these chief cells, and through the release of something called acetylcholine, it says, chief cells, go ahead and release some more pepsinogen. So this is a positive stimulus. The last place that the vagus nerve likes to go is actually to parietal cells directly. So it's going to come to parietal cells, and also through the action of acetylcholine, it tells parietal cells, go ahead and release some more acid. Okay, so the main regulator of the digestive system is the vagus nerve. Okay, and the whole goal is to get acid production going. And actually the most important method for increasing gastrin release, hydrochloric acid release, is through the activity on enterochromaffin-like cells and then through histamine. So that's the most important regulation of hydrochloric acid release in the stomach. Okay, so let's go through our learning objectives in the top. So we did these cell types and locations. We talked about what the cells release. We talked about what stimulates the cells, primarily the vagus nerve. And we also talked about what those substances do once they are released. Okay, guys, so this has been 10-Minute Med School on cells of the stomach. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a comment down below and let me know what type of video or topic you want to see next, and we can make sure to get that done. As always, thank you all for watching.